Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today we're coming back with another keyboard video. And this time, we have to thank Epomaker. So Epomaker actually sent me out a bunch of keyboards. It took a long time to actually get to me, surprisingly. But I have the TH80 V2 regular and the Pro. We're going to have to check out both, compare the two on this video, just because they're going to be slightly different from each other. So might as well do a video that compares both together in one single video. And that way you can really see whether or not this might be a budget board you want to grab for yourself. So let's go straight into the unboxing, but please make sure to like and subscribe.
Now introducing the Epomaker TH80 V2, the Pro and the regular version. So there's two different ones, and you might be asking why. Honestly, I don't know why there's two different versions. It kind of confuses me on this whole reasoning behind it, but we can see what's going on. Now, this one, the regular V2, comes with a braided cable and some extra switches and a basic keycap puller switch puller, and the board itself, which I really do wish Epomaker would update their packaging to something a little bit more modern instead of something that's just very budget, but I do understand it does cost a lot of money. Now the V2 Pro. So the V2 Pro is going to be the same type of packaging. It's going to have a cable, keycap puller switch puller, extra switches, and the board. And of course, we're going to do sound tests with both boards. Let's hear it. Now, we did the sound test of both boards, and we can really see here there's a slight difference between the two boards. Not just from the screen and just the looks of it, but actually had a little bit of difference that I'll show you later. Now, in terms of opening this up, because I want to see what was going on inside, to see if there's anything different that I could notice, and if any of these special things would make a difference between the two boards overall. To be honest, I feel like when it comes to budget keyboards, you're not really going to have that big of a difference in terms of, say, sound and feel of typing, especially when it comes from the same brand, right? This is both a TH80, both a V2, one's a Pro, one's not. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're opening the regular, just be careful that you don't actually rip off the ribbon cable that's connecting the volume knob to the board. It is actually separate, and I was kind of surprised about that portion. Now, opening this up is very simple. I would go with the bottom first, by the way, so make sure you have this tool, but the bottom of the front of the keyboard, opening that is much easier, and then going from the sides all the way to the back, it makes it super quick, super simple to open up. Make sure you also remove the volume knob first. Now, in terms of what I noticed with both boards is that the V2 Pro actually doesn't have a ribbon cable for the volume knob. So that was something I was actually kind of surprised about. It actually does make it a lot easier. It's with the prongs instead, but the regular version had the cable, which honestly over time could degrade and actually could break, meaning your volume knob might break. The prongs might actually last a little bit longer comparatively, and it just makes it easier to take apart. Like, you don't have to worry about it. So this is one of the key things to notice. Also, the screen portion. Now, in terms of the back foam on these boards, they're taped onto the PCB. Now, I would really hope in the future that Epomaker would stop doing this. Now, as I got more into the custom hobby, trying many different boards, many different brands, from budget to going into the mid-range and things like that, honestly, taping the back foam is just really not a great idea. It doesn't do well for the user, and it's not great. Now, in terms of, are these flex cut PCBs? Yes, they are. So I was trying to remove the tape to see what was going on, and honestly, it was really hard to tell, but there are some flex cuts, as you can see. It's not as heavy as, say, it used to be. In the past, flex cuts used to be like all around the Switch, everywhere. It was crazy. This one, they definitely reduced a little bit of what was going on with the flex cuts, but it doesn't mean that flex cuts are completely gone. This is something that is popular. It does provide a little bit more of a softer typing experience, a little bit more bounce. So those are the reasons why they're going to be doing it. And I know that a lot of people do enjoy that. Same thing goes for the plates as well. It's going to be with the flex cuts, and it's going to be a PC plate. So you're looking at a PC plate, which should allow you to have a little bit more of a deeper sound overall with foams. Now, in terms of the plate, it was 1.2 millimeters, but the PCB was 1 millimeter. So that was something I was quite surprised about, is the PCB is very, very thin compared to the plate. It is just super thin, which is not something I personally enjoy. I feel like a thicker PCB is just a bit better because it provides a little bit more of a solid sound overall. Now, in terms of the stabilizers, they're going to be plate mounted stabilizers, and they're actually pretty heavily lubed. I didn't really hear any ticking with them, which is great. You know, if you do have any ticking with the stabilizers, just know that you can actually add a little bit of lube in them. One thing you can do is use a syringe in them, and that should help to mitigate a lot of that. Or if you have to change these stabilizers, because they're plate mounted, it's just much easier to change. So in terms of budget boards like this, I understand why they went with plate mount, because it is just much easier overall compared to, say, using a screw-in stabilizer, which really requires you to have it installed way beforehand. Now, the Pro does have the 10,000 mAh battery, so it's 5,000 mAh on each side, so 2 of them, and then you have the silicone foam on the bottom. And you have those prongs there that keeps the PCB in place, which honestly, I don't know why they have to keep doing that if this is a gasket mounted keyboard. Same thing goes for the regular version. It's 4,000 mAh, so 2 of them, which equals 8,000 mAh. And again, silicone foam on the bottom. I don't think they needed the prongs, especially because this is a gasket mounted keyboard. In terms of the foams, I couldn't really tell that there's anything different. It looks like they both have the same foams that goes inside and between the plate and the PCB, though when we look at the website, we'll know for sure exactly what they're using and if there is anything difference between them. But as you can see here, very simple to put back together with these two.
Now, we did the whole unboxing sound test of both boards, and what are my thoughts with these boards? So the biggest difference you're going to see right away when I did the unboxings is going to be the keycaps, right? The keycaps are different between the V2 and the V2 Pro, as well as there's a screen on the V2 Pro while there's no screen on the V2. We will look at a little bit more differences when we get into actual comparisons in detail, but those are the first differences that I noticed between the two, as well as the battery, right? So we would have saw the battery size, and they're going to be slightly different in terms of that. So 8,000 versus 10,000 milliamps. The price difference between the two should be very minimal. It's not too big of a difference between the two. And overall, I mean, it is a budget keyboard, right? It's a plastic budget keyboard that if you're interested in something that's a 75%, these are going to be ones that you'd be looking at compared to, say, a lot of the competitors out there as well. I would say that it does sound thocky, right? You're going to get a thocky sound profile from these boards, or you can use the silent switches and have it very quiet. I think the silent switches from Epomaker is actually quite nice. I think they actually feel quite good to type on as well. And the creamy jades are actually pretty good too. I actually like these switches. I think from Epomaker, I've tried many different switches that they had, and this is probably my favorite one from them. We will have to go a little bit more in detail though between the two. We'll see the things that I noticed, some of the cons as well as the pros that I've noticed, and then do a comparison for them in detail with these. So let's go into that.
So a few things to really point out. The keycaps on the Pro is a PC keycap. It actually is kind of interesting in terms of the looks. The regular version has just regular PBT keycaps, and it does look pretty decent overall. Now, in terms of the USB ports in the same spot, USB dongle same spot, you can see the different information right there with the batteries. And overall, the regular version is actually slightly taller than the Pro version, just a very tiny bit. Now, the lighting on the Pro is quite nice with like a crystallizing look, while the lighting is a little bit dim in terms of the regular. Overall, I do think the Pro has some more interesting parts to it over in the looks. Now, going into the website to compare the two boards. So the first things we can notice is the pricing, right? The Pro is $70.19, normally $77.99. While the regular version is normally $69, but the sale is $62. So you can really see there's going to be two differences with the LCD screen and the battery, and the fact that there's going to be different types of like RGB showing for the two boards. But overall speaking, they're pretty much identical boards except for very small features, which makes sense in terms of the price differences is very, very small, where it's going to be like a $8 to $9 difference between the two boards. Now you can really see in terms of the tech information here, where it actually gives you a little bit more specifics to it, right? So you can see the PC plates is the same. The keycaps is going to be what's the most different, right? The Pro version has PC keycaps, but they also have PBT versions as well, depending on the color you grab. It's the black one only that has the PC, but in terms of the regular version, you only get the PBT keycap. So keep in mind that it's going to be that difference between the two. But even for the Pro, there's only one specific version that has the crystallized PC keycap look. Now, you can see that's a very small difference in terms of the height. So the back height and the front height, very, very minimal there. But you can technically notice if you have both together, very, very close. But it is a very minimal, like 1.5 to 2 millimeter difference between the two. Now, it says that it has the different 5 layers here. Both are 5 layers, but then the materials that they're mentioning is a little bit different. Overall, from my looks of it, it looks pretty much identical with how they're doing it. Now, in terms of the switches, you do have the choice of the Creamy Jade or the Sea Salt Silent. The Creamy Jade is something I really think is nice. Epomaker made them, and I actually feel like they're a very, very nice switch overall, especially if you are someone who likes a little bit more of that deeper, thocky, creamy sounding switch. The Creamy Jade is definitely going to be for you. If you want something quiet, the Sea Salts also work too. I actually think that's a very nice switch overall. Now, this is the pink version of the Pro, and I was kind of surprised there's a line in between the spacebar. It almost made me confused to think that this was a split spacebar board. But overall, you're looking at very two similar boards with a very similar price range. And in terms of just overall my personal opinion, I would choose the regular over the Pro because you save almost $10, and the $10 is not a small amount. You can grab like a small meal from that. Now, one of the things to note, the Pro has a different software compared to the regular. The Pro is actually a web app, which some people might like more. The fact is you don't have to download anything and you can access everything just through the web. Only thing is though is the software is very minimal and it's not the greatest software. Also, it does have SOCD as an option, so it looks like a lot of mechanical keyboards are actually getting the whole snap tap, which I know a lot of people use specifically for Hall effect keyboards, but for some reason the Pro version it was not working. So it seems like it's buggy here, which is really not good. I'm not sure why it wasn't working there. Now the regular version you can actually download the software. It's not a web app at all, but I think the software overall is actually a lot better. It's much cleaner. It seems a lot more refined compared to the web app that they were showing. This one works really well comparatively and actually still works. So you can see here that it's still actually pressing the keys correctly, so you can actually use it in game. Now I did use both keyboards in gaming, and honestly speaking, both work completely fine. Either way you go, it's not going to be like a Hall effect gaming keyboard, or it's not going to be, say, like a gaming keyboard with speed switches, but overall they do work quite well for gaming, especially if you're on a budget and you're just using it for your daily gaming, especially if you're not someone who's ranking incredibly high and really want that extra low latency and actuations and all those extra features that a gaming keyboard or Hall effect keyboard might have. But I would say that overall the mechanical keyboard sounds nicer compared to a Hall effect keyboard would be. Now, going into checking to see the polling rate on the boards, just to show you guys. So the regular version is going to be a polling rate of 1000 hertz, which honestly is more than enough. It is 1 millisecond latency, which is not horrible to use. Now, of course, we're going to check out the Pro version as well, which should be 1000 millihertz as well. And overall, if I were really to pick between the two, I personally think the regular is just a better grab. You save some money and still get a nice stocky board. And honestly, I would probably wait and see if there's any prime sales going on, because even then, I think these boards should probably go under the $60 mark. And if you can grab them around $50, I think it's going to be a much better buy overall.
So if you are interested in the new Epomaker TH80s for yourselves, you can go check out in the links description, right? We'll have the Amazon links as well as the Epomaker site links that you can use. And if you do use the Amazon links, just know that it's an affiliate link, so it does support the channel if you use them. Honestly, it's not bad, right? Like, these boards are budget boards that you can use for yourselves for quick grab, just connect, wireless use, or anything. I personally think that it would have been nice to have them a little bit cheaper. That's just my honest opinion. I would have loved to see these just drop the price a little bit. I think overall, with the current market, with how many boards there are and how many boards Epomaker releases all the time, it could be a little bit priced more competitively. That's just my honest opinion. But you can go check it out for yourselves. That is just my own personal thoughts. And of course, check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.